Welcome to the Herrera Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm here with Francheska Martinez. How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Great, thank you.
Can we
How are
just
you?
take I'm great, thanks for asking. Can we just take a minute to just soak in and just be grateful and just take a nice deep breath and be grateful for this opportunity and this day that we have? So I must give you your flowers and your respect before we go anywhere because you are an absolute beast at what you
Oh,
do.
thank you.
Um, you definitely motivate me and inspire me to continue to move my body with intention in all ranges of motion, in all planes of motion. So thank you for that, and just
Yes.
keep doing what you're doing and keep killing it.
Thank you, Anthony. That's like the most like honorable thing I could ever hear because that's all I want. I just want people to
Yeah,
move well, put your mind into it, maybe trick your body a little bit, trick your
yeah.
mind. Hmm.
And in a world where there's a lot of ego involved, and everybody wants to just be strong, and they forget to actually move their bodies because the true strength is in being able to move your body efficiently, pain free, and all that other stuff.
Get in all those
So
weird positions, like when you're carrying back the groceries and you got like something on your shoulder, your
hey,
spine's all like wonky. You got to make sure it's strong in that position too.
yeah, you got to prepare for all that stuff, but
Hmm.
but you're definitely changing the flow of the way things are going now, because movement is more popular now than it was back then. There's a few coaches out there, and we'll definitely get into like your coaching and how you got into the movement space. But I do want to ask a question before we go any further that's not related to what we're going to talk about, right? So I want to ask you, first of all, how are you? I know I asked you before, but like in a deeper sense, how are you? How's everything? Are you happy? What is your definition of happiness, and are you that person?
I'm super happy right now where I am. I feel like for me, happiness is like it's like a kind of like a double-sided coin. Like one, it's being okay with where you're at in life, like kind of being mindful of like your past, present, future, and also being like just okay with where you're at. Like even if times are hard, like accepting, that things are challenged. But on the other side, like I know like sometimes happy can be like, everything's great, everything's like rainbows and butterflies. But I'm really good right now. I feel like I'm in a good place in my life. Um, I feel like I feel like I got things like really shooken up in the beginning of the year and things are a little bit more like stable. I feel like I'm in like a good hiatus. I'm like planning for the future. I don't feel like I'm like scrambling right now. So I'm definitely happy.
All right, so you said you weren't scrambling, okay,
Yes.
and you said things got shaky in the beginning of the year. So like, how do you handle something like that? Like just trying to kind of just bring everything back on an even playing field, like basically everything back to a level feeling, a more calm feeling.
For me, I'm really big on routine. Routine is like super big. So for when I say like things get shaken up, it's like physically, like I moved locations and I hadn't moved in a really long time. So I feel like that also like really like just shoveled my routine. Like I was in a completely different space. But yeah, just trying to get back into it. I'm really big on like a simple morning routine. And also like just having like your environment also I feel like is really reflective of your mind too. Like having your environment like actually be organized,
For
having things
sure.
like have their place. Hmm.
Definitely. Now I respect this. So for those who don't know, right, Francesca Martinez, she puts the fun in functional, right? You're definitely good at making training, moving fun, right? So you should put out some merch like make movement fun again or something like that.
Ooh, I
But
like that.
hey man, I'm not looking for no kickbacks or anything. Just a gift. Merry Christmas. So let's get to the beginning of your journey. Are you from Austin, Texas?
No, I'm actually from Miami.
Oh, you're from Miami. So how'd you
Hmm.
end up in Austin?
So I came and visited and really just fell in love with the city. And there's a really big training culture here. So the training culture is like a little bit more unconventional, and you have people from like all walks of fitness.
Mhm.
So it's super cool. And then yeah, I came and I visited and I really fell in love with the city. It's like a really cute foodie city. It's not as big as Miami, so I kind of like that. I love the city life, but sometimes it's just too much. Like if you're sitting in traffic for 2 hours to get anywhere, I'm like, okay, that's like my limit. Um,
Wait, so is
yes.
Austin? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, they have really big foodie culture here. I think that's like what really drew me 1,000%.
But is it more like how do you compare the two cities, Austin and Miami? I know Miami's more of a party town. I used to live in Florida, but what is Austin? It's more laid back. I know you said it's more unconventional, fitness centric. But how would
Hmm.
you describe it? Because you said it's not really much of a city life, right?
So it's like it definitely feels like a big town, small city. Like you still have everything that you would want in a city. Um, like you have like I like to say little museums because now that I'm thinking about comparing the two, like you have everything that you would have from a big city, but like on a small scale. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I'd say as far as it compares, I think in general, people in Austin are way more chill. It's a big dog city too. There's a lot of
Mm,
dogs. People are like, I feel like people are a little bit more homey
okay,
in Austin, like super
got it.
down to earth, a lot more homey. People are friendlier, 1,000%,
You
a
know,
thousand
there
percent
really like compared to Miami.
compared to Miami.
Well, why do you think so?
I think in Miami, people are just very to themselves. Like everybody's
Okay,
caught in that like hustle bustle life, like keeping up with the Joneses. Like I don't know who you are, so why am I gonna talk to you kind of vibe. Not
that's
everywhere, but in general,
yeah.
in general.
It's like New York City. It's
Yeah,
just like New
yeah,
York
yeah, yeah.
City. People just want to get to they want to get to wherever they want to get to, and they don't want to have a conversation. And if you try to spark a conversation, they're gonna look at you as if you're one of the crazy people out there.
They actually call Miami the sixth borough. I don't know if you've heard that one.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
But I never heard that one, but I don't know if I could vouch for that.
You gotta
But
ask the New Yorkers that are always in Miami.
that's it's cheap, right? It's right there. It's a 2.5 hour flight. You can party,
Hmm.
get fucked up, and come back on Sunday and go back to work the next day, like you never left. But I guess in a sense, it can be a six, bro. All right, so like growing up in Miami, what was that like? What was your childhood like?
Mm. My childhood, I think the highlight of my childhood was like going to dance classes. My childhood was very simple, I feel. Like I grew up with my mom and her family, mostly. Didn't really have any siblings until I got older, so I grew up as the only child. Grew up Cuban, grew up in a Cuban family,
Cuban.
Cuban
Okay.
household. Um, But yeah, I feel like the highlight of my childhood was definitely like dance class, hanging out with my cousins, just like the simple things. But I left when I was 17. So as soon as I finished high school, I left Miami and I only came back like maybe for like a year and a half to live.
So was Austin your next destination, or you moved around before you got to Austin?
So yeah, I went to college in Orlando, shout out Knights, and
What school is
then
that?
UCF,
Okay.
University of Central Florida. And then after that, I lived in Gainesville for a little bit. And then after Gainesville, which is a tiny little town, I feel like only people that are into college football know that that's where the UF Gators are.
Okay.
And then, yeah, went to Miami for a little bit, and then I came out to Austin.
So as a dancer, would you say that kind of like propelled you to be more focused into movement and mobility because you have to be pretty nimble as a dancer?
Yeah, I feel like definitely pushed me towards the mobility route because when I got super into strength training, like I felt all my flexibility like completely go away. I felt like a little tin man robot. I was like, whoa. And that's the thing, like to some people, I still might have looked flexible, but you definitely feel the difference in your body,
Yeah.
especially, like if you're not able to like hit a certain range of motion anymore, you're like, this isn't right. But yeah, definitely that background. And it also helped me get more into like the flow life because you kind of like you just like get into the flow, you get into this element where you're not even focused on like one exercise. You're really just trying to like put everything together, more like a dance. So yeah, I
Like
like the connection.
there's more intention behind it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
versus obviously there's a mind muscle connection when you're training. Uh, I guess not everyone knows about that, but when you're moving with more intention, you feel it more, not just physically, but you feel it more internally, like spiritually. You start
Mm-hmm.
to focus more on the pain area, the areas of pain, right? That you may or may not have, and that's how I got into movement. Obviously, watching you and a few other people that I follow, and doing some yoga, and that really helped me kind of like balance the two. And but anyway, I digress. Growing up, aside from dancing, were you into any other sports that you said you were lifting a lot, so were you into like sports that required strength at all?
No, I kind of just dabbled around. Like I did like soccer when I was little, and then just a bunch of team sports. Like forced to do team sports in PE, but I my
Yeah.
biggest sport that I like didn't intend to do. It's funny how the school system works. We had PE, but they didn't have us do like in high school. They didn't have us do anything aside from running track. So we would literally just like be just running like hamsters for a whole probably I think it was a 2 hour block. It was a 2 hour block,
Wow.
and so I'd say no. I mostly was like I guess into running, and dance. But I got into flag football when I was younger, and I feel like that made me feel like I needed to be a little bit more explosive. I was like, I feel like I'm missing an element. But in college is when I got into weightlifting.
Really? And
Hmm.
what was your split like? Was it more like bodybuilder style, powerlifter style? Yours,
Bodybuilding, thousand
yeah,
percent. Yeah.
aesthetics and all that good stuff.
I definitely focused on the strength aspect as well, but yeah, a lot of bodybuilding.
Okay. So when you
Hmm.
moved to Texas, were you still like doing strength, or you were already in the movement space by the time
I'd
you got
already
there?
gotten into the movement space. Yeah.
Okay. And
I
what
think I
was
got so pretty much I started having like a slow evolution because I also was like really into rollerblading. So I already kind of had like a somewhat like flowy like movement background. And then of course, aside from the dance. But yeah, when I got into college, I realized that I had like a really big gap in my training. So I got a lot like super into gymnastic strength training in college. So I feel like the gymnastic strength training got me into calisthenics. The calisthenics found me into animal flow. And it was like a whole like cascade after that.
you since you brought up animal flow, like how how'd you find that? Like how'd you get into that? What was someone inspire you? Like,
Funny enough, my uncle, he's like one of the original on it trainers when they did their first certification a couple years ago, and then or like many years ago at this point. But he introduced me to this one gym because as soon as I got out of college, I started doing I like had an office job for a little bit and then I left the office job. And then I started doing personal training, but like many, career transitions in the beginning, it's like a hustle and bustle and a
yeah.
struggle.
Hmm.
So I was looking for some full-time work, and he referred me to a gym. And at that gym, they had um, animal flow in their programming. So they really encouraged uh, their coaches and stuff to get all the certifications. So that's how it was. That's actually how it started.
So with animal flow, is that something that you never heard about, or you heard about it at that time?
I'd heard about it. My uncle had introduced me to it because he's
Yeah.
also an animal flow coach. Mhm.
Oh, who is your uncle? I mean, I follow a lot of Ana people. Is he on social media at all?
Do you follow Flow with AJ?
No.
He's
Is
like a
that
rote flow guy now. He loves rote flow.
what is rope flow? What is
Rote
that?
flow
Oh, rope
is
flow.
like if you had like a legit just like a typical kind of rope, and then you like swing it around in different patterns similar
Oh,
to jump rope, because you know how there's like also like jump rope flow, like
yeah.
people do the crazy combinations and they jump. So it's like all the crazy combinations without the jumping.
But you do that
But
too, right? You posted
mhm,
that
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I saw that. But I try to get into it. I mean, I do some of it, but can you explain the importance of animal flow?
Ooh, So animal flow, it's a ground-based movement. You're crawling on all fours, and then every movement has a name. So the way I like to describe it is as if breakdancing and yoga had a baby. So breakdancing and yoga have a baby. All the moves have different names, of course, animal names given the
Yeah.
name. And then you're able to learn each movement. Let's say there's like 100 movements. After you learn all the movements, you start combining them together. So obviously you don't have to learn all of them together. You can learn legit just 3 movements. And this is for everybody else. Anthony knows what's up. But just these 3 movements, you can combine them in different patterns, different combinations. But what's really cool about it is you have to keep yourself off the ground the whole time. Like you're not putting your knees on the ground. But it like really, really takes a lot of coordination, like focus, mind power. You see someone do it and you're like, easy, I can do it. And then you get on the
Yeah.
floor and you're like, wait, what just
Yeah.
happened? Like, what did you do? I also forgot that I used to break dance too in high school.
Mm,
So the break dance really attracted me to the animal flow.
okay.
And funny enough, you reminded me that when I first started working at the job, I think I told them that I used to break dance because you can kind of just tell sometimes when you get somebody on the ground. Um, but they had me do this crazy flow that was probably like 20 movements long just to see if they
Wow.
could trick my brain.
I'm
But that
curious.
it was so fun because it's actually just like breakdancing. Like when you think about it, you're like, oh my God, it's pretty much the same thing.
And also with animal flow, just like mobility, like it just requires so much intention, like you said, focus. Because I've watched your videos, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this. The one where you kind of like go back and you kind of come back up and you put your foot through, and you have like this flow going, and I'm just like trying to get it, and I fuck up after like maybe 1 or 2 tries. Let's.
But that's the beauty of it though. Like it's a challenge and it keeps you coming back.
So when you were in Austin, you said you were already focused on mobility, right, and
Mhm.
movement. But what was the inspiration behind that? Like, what made you want to become a mobility coach versus, I don't know, a strength coach or something like that? I guess it kind of work goes hand in
I'm
hand.
still a strength coach.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
All right.
But I definitely specialize in mobility.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it was like feeling just really crappy in my body, like feeling
Yeah.
like I hadn't um like gotten to the level that I wanted to. I felt like I was falling into that trap that a lot of like older fitness people talk about when they're like, once I hit 30, like, everything went downhill. And then they look, fit and stuff, but they're like chronically in
Yeah.
pain and like, you know, they can't they can't squat, or if they like lift something overhead, their body's gonna break. So that's what I started feeling like. Literally started feeling like one of those people. And I actually had like actually, I think at this point it's called like a chronic shoulder injury. Um, I literally had like a chronic shoulder injury, and then it took me like 5 years to fully heal from it to feel like a
Wow.
100%. Because I was able to move, I was able to do stuff, but it hurt so bad, and obviously like there was something going on in there. But the mobility aspect really got me into it because at first, like a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you just need to like train the weak muscle," but like there was no weak muscle. Like my stuff was just damaged
It
and
was
like
damage. Yeah.
super messed up and tight and just destroyed. So legit destroyed. That's what it felt like. But yeah, just wanting to feel better in my body, wanting to feel like I could heal my body through movement, and realizing that there was a way, that really got me deep into the mobility world. And especially like I feel like I'm always such a student, and I'm like sometimes I'm very nice to myself, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I could also be very hard on myself. And I feel like I still don't know enough about mobility. And I'm like quote unquote like a mobility expert. And don't get me wrong, like I could talk about mobility for probably like 50 hours straight.
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
But I feel like there's still so much more to learn. And even the people that I look up to, like they say the same thing. Like there's like this is just like the beginning. Like the mobility world has pretty much just begun. And like don't get me wrong, like you can dive very deep into it, but I feel like we're still like as a people, as a society, like this is just the beginning. Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. Do you know who Hickson Gracie is?
Who's Hickson Gracie?
So Hickson Gracie's he's from the Gracie family. They started the
Hmm.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, BJJ family. Mhm.
So he wrote a book.
I didn't know his name was Hickson.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay,
Hickson
yes, yes.
Gracie. Well, it's with an R, but it's they say Hickson. I don't know, but he speaks about this teacher he had or this s- someone that was training him to basically flow like because he does flows as well. I don't know if you ever saw him on like on YouTube or TV, but he
Hmm.
does a flow, and he said the flow became spiritual that he lost himself in the flow. He didn't know where he was. So in the master or the sensei, the coach, he walked into the room and he saw him flowing, like deeply spiritually flowing through this flow. He was just everywhere. He was on the ground. He was on the wall, and it left the coach to tears. So why I'm saying that is because, like you said, you barely scratch the surface, right? Like who knows how deep it
Hmm.
goes? Just being able to flow and being able to move. And who who was your inspiration into getting deeper into this? Was there anyone? Was there a mentor that helped you get deeper into the coaching world and the movement world?
Mm. I have a lot of mentors. That's a hard one.
Mm,
Mm. How about this? I feel like the biggest motivator for sure was like that. I think you hit on it, like that aspect of like spirituality and flow, like feeling like there's more
yeah.
and feeling like you can connect deeper to yourself. Because I feel like when you find that like part in your training where you feel like super open, you're like tingling, your joints, like you can feel like everything in your body has like circulation and everything feels like super connected. And you even feel like taller through your spine and you can feel your fingertips and your toes. And you just feel good and you don't feel in pain and you feel like you feel super sane. That's what it is. When you have that moment in your body where you feel like super, super sane and like electrically charged, I feel like wanting to chase that is like constantly what got that for me. And I didn't find that only through strength training. So I feel like that for me is really beautiful. But my mentors are super important. So my uncle has definitely been a huge mentor and like just really great at just giving me direction. I feel like it's hard for people to give each other direction. He's a
Mhm.
great person.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever wants direction, just I'll give you my uncle's DMs. I'm sure he'll love to.
And he still works at the Onnit gym?
No. So Onnit has like the certification system. They
Oh,
don't
okay.
really do it anymore. But people can get certified or like in the past, I think actually still can, but they only do it online. But you can get certified through Onnit even if you don't live in Austin, and they have a really great coaching program. But also too, I have a friend, Shane Hines has been a great mentor. um it started off where like I would only see him at certifications like every couple like months or like maybe like once a year, and now we're like besties. We hang out every Wednesday. I'm gonna see him tomorrow at the gym. And then he also has a friend, John Wolf, who's a great mentor of mine. Super into, he's like a ninja actually. He's like super into the movement world. Like he can do these things that we call like walking pigeons, where you go into like a pigeon and then your leg wraps around and goes to another pigeon. Like just insane hip mobility, great, great strength too. Super fun person. Shout out to Mike Fitch too from Animal Flow. He's become a great friend and mentor over the years. Also, someone that I really look up to. They haven't been able to mentor me so much in person, but they definitely like they mentor me like kind of like vicariously. Like I watch a lot of their socials. Venus. Do you follow Venus to be fab?
No.
She's really cool.
Yeah.
She's really awesome. She lives in California and she loves teaching to beginners, but she's in the whole movement space, mobility space, really great strength coach as well. But yeah, her thing recently, she like had an epiphany that getting beginners into movement is her thing. So I love that. Shout out
I
to her.
I respect it because I notice as I get older, like I'm leaning more toward I focusing more on how I move versus how much I want to move. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
with all that said, can you just explain a little further the importance of just being able to be mobile and being able to move in all ranges of motion, especially as we get older.
Yes. So pretty much as many of us know, since we're all wise people here, the older you get, your body literally just gets weaker. If you don't lose it, you lose it. And the best way I like to think about it, it's like most of us, even if we are active people, we're not moving within our body's full capacity or full range of motion. Like when we were kids, we would be running, jumping, you
Hmm.
land on a single leg, then you're, literally doing the monkey bars, strengthening your grip. We would hang out in a deep squat and just sit down there. Um, but we literally don't move as adults. We only like put our hands on the floor if we drop something. It's very rare that, we're ever crawling or getting on all fours. So just being able to keep that same limberness and that range of motion and that strength from when we were kids, I feel like that's the best way to describe it. Because like when we think about it as like, oh, we're also weak from sitting or
Hmm.
we lose our range of motion, it makes us be like, oh, how are we ever supposed to get back to that? But when we realize like, oh my God, we were all kids at one point and we would all be able to like literally do whatever we wanted to, like jump off furniture and swing off stuff.
Jump over things, yeah,
Yeah, it
everything.
makes it, I feel like when we look at it from that perspective of like, wow, we were that once, I feel like it makes it more inspiring to like go and like, get your health back, get your range of motion back, move those ankles, take off your shoes, maybe walk in some grass, hang out in the bottom of your squat for a little bit.
Make
Even
movement
people
fun
that I
again.
know, yeah, make movement fun. Even people that I know that are like super fit, they're super swole, they're all strong. I make them sit in the bottom of a squat for like not even a minute, like 40 seconds, and they're like screaming at me, like, ah! Like, what do you mean? This is supposed to be like literally our
Hmm.
natural resting position. Like, that's literally how humans are supposed to rest. You're supposed to squat down.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Today's training is has become so rigid and so
Hmm.
strength focused, which is fine, but we lost that. We lost that ability to just want to move and to want to play and make it fun again and to roll around on the ground and actually I'll tell you a story. Over the summer, I was playing with my daughter on the grass, barefoot, running around, grounding, rolling
Yes.
around. There was a guy riding a bike and he basically like was like like this grown ass man, this grown ass man rolling around. Like if only he knew the benefit, of doing this stuff, just connecting to the earth, of course, barefoot, like you said, and just being able to move your body. Why do you think
Hmm.
people lose that? Why do you think people focus more on one thing and not having a healthy balance between
I
strength
think
and movement?
we love comfort as humans.
Mhm.
I feel like we love being comfortable. We love our AC. We love our little heaters when it's cold. We don't like being
Especially over here.
uncomfortable. And I feel like we got to like make sure we're challenging ourselves, making sure that we're growing. And I feel like a lot of times we get so fixated on like one thing, growing financially or,
Mhm.
growing in a relationship, but like we forget like our bodies also, if we don't like challenge it, it's going to wither. And you don't
Yeah.
want to wither. I want to be one of these like swole 70-year-olds that don't need any help putting a suitcase
Yeah.
overhead or something.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
You're
I'm the
just
one
moving.
helping young people.
Yeah. And you know what's now that you mentioned the age thing, right? What is your demographic of people like? Do you get like a nice amount of older people wanting to learn how to move better?
Yeah. So I feel like right now, um, I've mostly been working with women since I moved to Austin. I do have my male clients, but even my male clients, they're 30s, 40s. And then my female clients, anywhere from like late 20s to 60s.
Wow.
I want to
So
get some older people in here, but they're scared of me. No, I'm kidding.
you know what it is they're just so set in their ways, right?
Hmm.
Now, why do you think your clientele is of men, right? So small.
I feel like men prefer training with a
Ego.
man because I feel like they're gonna put them through a
Oh,
harder workout. And I feel like they're just seeking the ego for sure.
uh-huh.
but they're just seeking mostly aesthetic, most of the men.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the guys that I work with are definitely into the aesthetic too, but they are very conscientious about their mobility, like very, very conscientious. Especially
Uh,
like if you have like, let's say like one area that's really bad, they're like, I'm tired of this.
and they just give up, or
No, no, they want to work on it. Like they're
oh, they
tired.
want to
Sorry,
work. Oh, they're
that
tired of
was
the.
poorly
Okay,
worded.
got it, got
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
got it.
They're tired of the stiffness and they want to put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, when people like bend over or when they try to sit down, they kind of like grunt, or they try to get up and they
Hmm.
grunt, or they struggle to get up the stairs, like they could barely wipe their ass. I saw you had I saw you did a collaboration with a line method. I can't get his name. What's his
Aaron,
Aaron, yeah. I that's he's
Aaron
definitely
Alexander. He likes the
that.
two names.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Aaron
I'm kidding. I'm
Alexander.
kidding.
Oh, he's definitely one of my favorite guys. I purchased his book, and he's definitely just like you, inspired me to move more and just be able, because he looks really strong and he can move really well. He might not be super big or swole, but he looks great.
Aaron, I'm sorry, but you know, him and I did like a little role together, and it was so funny because he's so big and I'm so little. We literally have like
Yeah.
over 100 pound weight gap in between us. It
Wow,
was
really?
so funny. I'm only like, I'm short. I'm like probably 120 and he's probably 220 because he's
Wow,
very
yeah,
tall.
yeah, yeah. And he's muscular too. It's not like he's just like long and lean. Like he carries muscle. Muscle carries some weight on it.
Hmm.
Hey, you. I thought you froze up for a minute.
No,
All right. So the coaching aspect. So what was it? What was it that I know you said you mobility is. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, but so your coaching. How did you get into that? As far as like wanting to help more people. You said you wanted to help people and serve people. That's your main goal. But what was the biggest inspiration behind wanting to be a coach and do this for a living?
I love that our conversation is going back to spirituality again.
Hmm.
But pretty much, I was working in an office job. It was 2015 and I was hating it. And I feel like in my life I have to be like very conscientious about taking breaks because I
Okay.
graduated college and then I wasn't able to take a break at all. Like I graduated on a Thursday and then I had to start work on a Monday because, I had no place to live. I was like, I gotta work. I need bills. Like I'm
Hustle
not
and
gonna go
bustle.
move back home. Yeah. So I got into this office job like just because of necessity, and I was good at it. It was fine. But it was just like soul sucking. Like for me as a person, if anybody's ever seen me online, like I'm kind of an energizer bunny
Hmm.
sometimes. Sometimes I'm like bouncing off the walls. So somebody like me to get them to sit down for 8, 9 hours a day, it was just absolute torture. And the type of job that I had too, like I didn't need to be. I mean, many jobs are like this. There's no reason to be in the office 40 hours a week if I
Yeah.
can get my work done in not even 20 hours. So I would just sit there drawing, like walking around, making coffee, like just going nuts. And after a while, I was like, man, like I can't do this anymore. I had like a realization one day. I'm like, man, like if I don't have one day where I decide that I want something different, I'm gonna be one of these people that get comfortable and I'm gonna be at the same job in like 20 years, just probably at a different company because it's just easy to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
And especially too, like I was fine at my job. We were always making bonus. So like in my mind, I'm like, great, I'm crushing it. We're literally making bonus all the time. I can like just get a promotion and go to like another company. So I was already thinking that way and I was like, oh my God, like I don't even like this job. Like, what am I doing? And I was also like a little bit like down. Like I wouldn't say I was like depressed, but I was definitely down. Like I didn't have enough energy in me to go and like work out. I was only doing yoga. And that to me was like a big gap in my life.
Mm.
Like I felt like something was missing. And then yeah, I started getting like this chronic shoulder pain. The chronic shoulder pain, or it wasn't even pain actually at this point. My shoulder, like the bone would just like stick into the chair. Like my
Mm.
shoulder blade was literally like poking in my chair all the time. And I was like, this is so weird. Long story short, all of those thoughts together, I was like, I can't do this anymore. So somebody told me to go read this book. I always mess up the name of it, but I'm pretty sure it's called The Fourfold Way. And then it talks about different archetypes. And the book talks about what archetype you are and how your archetype could like be of service for the world. So my archetype, when I read the book, I was like, oh, I'm the teacher. I love teaching people stuff. Like if I can, even if it's something stupid, like if I could show somebody how to mix colors or like how to put together armoire, like that to me is super satisfying. So I started meditating on that, and the book encourages you to meditate on times when you felt the happiest in that mode.
Mm.
And I had a moment where I literally like flashed back. And it's actually funny that I say this now because I've said this story before, but not recently, but I'll tell you why. Do you follow the crazy trainer?
I do. Yeah.
So Jared and
Mhm.
I went to college together,
Okay.
and he works at On It now. But when I had my realization, I went back to the time when I was the happiest, and it was me teaching Jared, the crazy trainer, how to do handstands in college. That was literally like my vision that I had. Like when I did my little
Wow.
flashback, I was like, that's the first memory that comes up. That was literally the happiest that I was because him and I were great friends. He was super into it. He was like, teach me everything about handstands. And he would practice it and he would come back to me and be like, hey, this is what I did. What do I do next? And that to me is my favorite. Like if I give someone homework and they do it, oh my God, like let's take it
Well,
up 20 notches.
yeah, not only that they do it, they come back for more, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. So it's funny that that was like the realization that I had and the memory that came up because now, almost 10 years later, no, it's like 10 years later, Jared and I like get to work together at the gym and see each other all the time. I actually worked with him this Saturday and it was super cute. It was super sweet and fulfilling. But yeah, that's what I realized. I realized like, oh my God, I love being in that mode of being able to give somebody something and share knowledge with somebody, and have them reap their own reward from it. So that's kind of what made me realize I need to go back to training. And it's funny because I actually have a degree in exercise sports science, but I
Mm.
never thought I would use it. I just got it for myself, like super selfishly.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like sometimes when we're selfish, we can give, but I feel like that's the analogy of like you can only give when your cup is full.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, yeah, exactly.
That's beautiful, actually. I like that. I never heard that one before. And you know what? At the your shoulder pain could have been an energy blockage just because you weren't
Oh
even
my God,
happy, you know?
1,000%, a
Yeah.
1,000%.
It just took a few years to get rid of it.
And the shoulder thing, funny enough, was also a spine thing because
Mm.
I've struggled with scoliosis a little bit, but the spine thing is really focused to my energy and my nervous system and my happiness.
Mhm.
But yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, all right. I'll tell you my little quick story. I was having a lot of like
Yes.
stomach issues, right? I was eating well. I've always been a healthy eater, always been uh consistent in the way I eat and the way I move. But I just felt all this tension, but all the tension was in my stomach. So after a while of dealing with that, one night I'm just laying in bed and I just tell myself, or maybe something told me or someone told me, just let it go. Just release it. Let it go. Let it be what it is. If you can't control it, just let it go. So I say about maybe a day or two later, like I just felt my stomach felt fine. I felt light, and I kept reminding myself to just let it go, and it just I never had that issue ever again.
That is so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I love that. I
That's
need
a
to do that to myself. You do a little let it go
you have to.
moment because
You
I'm
have
a chronic jaw clencher.
me
I
too.
wake up at night and I'm like holding
Actually,
on for dear life.
you're resisting something, or you're trying to fight something. You're fighting something internally in your mind or in your body, right?
But
So
sometimes we don't know what it is. I'm
we
like,
don't
what
know what
is
it
it?
is, and we might never know what it is, but just reminding ourselves to let it go and just let it be what it is, and maybe you
Oh, I
won't
know what it is.
grind your teeth every night. What is it?
I have perfectionist tendencies.
uh you
I
know
think that's what it is.
yeah, you probably know her. I think she works at the gym too. Danielle Gertner.
Oh my God, she's one of my good
Yeah,
friends. I love Danielle.
she's always preaching, the let it go mindset and just being free and just letting your body do what it's supposed to and just letting your spirit
Ooh,
live freely, whether it's inside or outside your body, you know?
I need a 1 minute wiggle. That's what I need.
You want to do it? Go ahead. Oh, it's Wiggle Wednesdays, right? Wiggle Wednesdays. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it
So,
started as 1 minute wiggle, and then she branded it as
oh, okay.
Wiggle Wednesdays. You're on brand. You know what's up.
I actually want to talk about that because I want to get into the branding aspect. Like, how do you brand yourself? And as far as like just as a beginner coach, right? When you first started as a coach, like how were you pushing this concept of moving? Like, how do you get people to be interested in what you have to say?
Ooh. Oh, so disclaimer, the branding is the part of business that I like the least. I like anything you try to embrace it.
Yeah,
And there's things about it that I do like, but it always makes me like seize up. I'm like, oh no, the serious part. But for me, I feel like I focus on getting people strong and then I drizzle in movement world.
got it.
Because I found that like don't get me wrong, I love the movement space and I love everything that it offers, but I'm a little bit dogmatic when it comes to like traditional strength. Just a little bit, a little bit. So I make sure my clients a lot of times have like their strength. And this is just like somebody's just coming to me like get me fit.
Yeah.
So I'll give them like not sure what they want. I'll give them like a very basic strength foundation and then I'll drizzle in some animal flow. So that's usually what my programming's like. I'll drizzle in animal flow. Um, if they like it, I'll give them even more. And then we'll like start going crazy. And same thing with the kettlebell. So I'll start them off with like kettlebell combinations. So they'll do like a clean and then a press and then maybe like a row or something. And then if that doesn't get them sparkling, then I'll look for something else that gets them sparkling. But if that like invigorates the person, then we're gonna go crazy in the kettlebell world. Um, but I feel like people that I've worked with resonate a little bit more with the animal flow world, the body weight, the mobility stuff. I definitely have clients that are into the kettlebell flow, but I feel like we always end up focusing a little bit more on strength training.
But is that because you're more known that they focus more toward the movement, or is it because they somehow decided to like it more than the other, or like what was it?
I feel like they find it more challenging and more engaging than the
Uh,
kettlebell flow
it actually
in
really
general,
is.
generally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So is that so your foundation is you start them off with some strength. Then you kind of
For
like
sure, a little bit of animal flow
is that like after a workout or during everything?
during. Mhm.
Okay. So so you never do like a cool down flow, like an animal cool down flow or something like that?
No, for cool downs, I'll probably do something that's not weight bearing.
Okay.
Just because I feel like as a finisher we'll do it. But for cool down, I usually have them like a little bit more relaxed, not like on their hands and feet.
Now is kettlebells, is that your thing? Is that how you train most of your clients? Just kettlebells, and what about like barbells, maces, clubs,
Mostly
sandbags?
kettlebell work. I have some clients that are some ninjas with the mace.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I definitely use mace, definitely use kettlebell, a little bit of barbell. Barbell mostly just for deadlifting, I feel. Deadlifting, some people will be like floor pressing it because they're super freaking strong. And then no, I don't do sandbag. Actually don't own a sandbag.
Mm,
I don't own a sandbag. I like sandbag. Um, but I feel like after a while, you have to have a really good sandbag for the sand not to start coming out and for it not to
yeah.
start breaking. Like a bunch of the ones at the gym that we had, they're all like retired now. We had to like
No, no one's
throw
really
those
using
babies
them.
out. No, and like the people that do use them, they got destroyed, they haven't gotten replaced. But yeah, definitely a little bit of club work. We need more club work in the gym.
What is so
Yeah, a little
club
bit of everything.
is club work? Is that's more like what is that? What would that hit like as far as the body goes? Like more shoulder, or is that
Ooh,
full body, more core?
just totally depends how you use it. I like to look at it as like the same lens as the kettlebell. Like you
Okay.
could swing it, you can do some leg stuff with it. The leg stuff is a little interesting because you'll be doing like maybe more like post squatting. It looks a
Yeah.
little bit more like a post squat. Um, A lot of shoulders, a lot of shoulders with the
Yeah.
club, a lot of grip and wrists with the club, a lot.
Also with the kettlebell, though, right? A lot of grip work, uh,
But I feel like it's
shoulder
a
work
little
as
bit
well
harder on
with
club
the club. Okay.
because of the way you're holding it. Like it's never resting on your
Yeah.
forearm. It's like completely straight
Oh
out.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the kettlebell is
Hmm.
the kettlebell. You get to rest it on your arms and stuff. So like, let's get to coaching the videos and the social media. Like, well, what made you want to take it to that next level where you're doing videos and now you're putting yourself out there on social media and stuff like that?
Funny enough, I feel like this is just like growing up as a millennial. Um, when I first got into training, um, I was just like sharing my workouts and I realized like people are actually watching these workouts and I'm
Hmm.
like getting to like connect with people. So I just did it as like a virtual business card at first, like just to
Okay.
connect with people nearby, kind of get some local clients, um, show people physically like what I do. Cause a lot of times people be like, what kind of training do you do? You know, you're like, just like typical stuff. And then people look at it and they're like, is this typical? I'm like, I don't know.
It's
I feel like
unconventional.
yeah, it's definitely unconventional. But I feel like especially too, like starting off as a coach and coming into the space, I'm like, I'm just doing push-ups and squats and like one or two crazy moves. I'm like, but like to me, I was like, this isn't too crazy. And then other people are like, how are you swinging that club around your head? And I'm like, what? I'm like, somebody just taught me how to do this. I don't know. But especially too, I feel like when you like slowly get into the space, you don't realize how unconventional it really is. Um, as opposed to like it's 2023 and you walk into a conventional gym and you're going to be like, whoa, like what is this? But yeah, I feel like it was definitely like a trickle effect for me,
Yeah.
um, with the unconventional world. But yeah, I've just started like totally organically, just sharing my stuff, trying to get local clients, trying to explain people what I do.
But how do you stay consistent? Because you're very consistent with the amount of content you put out there. Like, how do you stay disciplined to put out content and how to what is your motivation behind being consistent? Because there's times where people just don't want to put it out there, but do you feel like you have to?
Yeah, I feel like for me it's just like a part of my job at this point. Especially too like it's brought me so many great opportunities. Like I'm here talking to you. You were like sweet enough to tell me that like I helped influence your
Hmm.
movement journey too. So like hearing that, getting to connect with people, um, and I think too, like physically, like knowing that some of my friends, like when they see that video, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, like I gotta go work out." Like she already put in a workout, like
Yeah.
this morning or whatever it is. And I know like it does give up people an impact, and it does motivate people, gives people ideas. So like knowing that like I'm not just posting to an ether is like very
Yeah.
rewarding. Knowing that there's like real people out there, that you're actually, like making an impact maybe on their actual workout today. Maybe someone is going to see a lift and they'll be like, oh, I haven't done that lift in a little bit. I need to go do that. Or especially the people that have never done any type of movement or ground based stuff or flow stuff. And they're like, wow, like, what is this world? But for me, I try to be like very conscientious with being disciplined. But for example, like I've taken a break the last 3 weeks with posting, and I like never really take breaks like ever. So I've been giving myself like a little bit more grace. Like the holidays are approaching. We don't always have to go super freaking hard all the
Yeah.
time. Like I'm still training my clients every day. I'm still working every day. In some way, I'm probably still gonna show up on social media. But I haven't been so fixated on like, all right, Monday through Friday, I need to put up a post. I for sure have posted multiple times this week. Don't get me wrong. But to me, that's a break because I post literally every day, Monday through
Yeah.
Friday, and the story. Like if I'm going to post on my page, I'm for sure posting on my story. And like anybody that spends time on socials, like even getting your stuff up there, it's time consuming.
It is, especially when you do
Hmm.
reels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you at the end of the day, when it comes to posting it, does it ever become tedious or just like putting your phone down in order to do a workout? Does that become like one of those things where it's like, I really don't want to, this is kind of annoying and stuff like that? Like,
So don't get me wrong, I hate recording all of my workouts. Like I absolutely hate it. Like I wish sometimes I could just like tune out and do my own thing. But like I feel like I have like I definitely think my friends always tell it to me. I feel like I feel I don't know. I'm like stumbling on my words and I'm like, "Ugh," I'm all nervous. But I feel like when I say that I'm very disciplined and I'm very regimented, like it almost sounds to me like a little bit like cocky or egotistical because I don't want to be regimented. Like I'm also the opposite. Like I can also be like very easygoing. I can be very chill and like go with the flow. But at the end of the day, like I'm a trainer and like consistency and routine are like the best return on your investment for everything, you know?
For sure.
So I have like a very strict social media routine kind of.
So I can tell. So you you try not to like mesh like, all right, what's going on in my head versus posting it. You just like you just say it. I'm
Stay on
posting it.
routine.
There's no. But
Yeah, like literally go on.
doesn't that kind of like make you feel like a little burnt out to a certain degree?
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it kills my creativity
Yeah.
and sometimes it
Yeah.
makes me want to pull out my hair, but then other times like I'm thriving in it and I love it. So I think it's that reminder of it's like training. Like you're not always gonna work out. Sometimes you have like really bad blocks. Like
Mhm.
I'm sure like you like it's been like many years now of like training and like what people know once you work out and you take it seriously to the point where you call it training, like you don't stop. Like we're training for life.
Yeah. Like
Sometimes you
you've
have
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, it's a marathon forever.
You
So
force
sometimes
yourself to
I'll
take a
have
day off.
like yeah, and with for example, using workout as an analogy, sometimes I'll have 3 months of a really bad block. Like I feel like I haven't progressed in anything, or I feel like
Mhm.
I'm getting worse at stuff, even though I'm still showing up, you know, or my body feels like crap. So I try to use that same mindset. Like I'm still gonna show up on socials, whether I like it or not. Sometimes I'm gonna love it, sometimes I'm not. Um, sometimes I might be smiling, sometimes I'm not. But as far as posting on my page, I don't take the stories as serious. Like if I don't
Yeah.
feel like talking, I won't talk on the stories. But as far as the workouts go, like I'm still recording my workouts, whether or not I feel like posting on socials, you know? So like right now, and I don't record the whole workout. Usually I just record one set.
Mhm.
So for example, I just did all the work sets and then at the very end, I recorded the end of it and then like so on and so forth. But I post first thing in the morning usually. Like I get up, I sit on the toilet for way too long. And for everybody watching this, yes, I do posts when I'm on the toilet. So
You
if
know
you
what?
all of my posts are from
That
the toilet.
I think that's a lot of people that most of their magic happens during while they while they're on the bowl.
I'm just like like a little cyborg. Actually, that's what my boyfriend calls me. He calls me cyborg.
What?
Um,
Why is that? Because
it's
is
just
that like an inside thing?
yeah, I'm just one of those people that has always been online. Like I grew up on MySpace. I used to code for fun when I was little.
Mm,
So I
wow,
just like
for
really,
fun.
we're just in love with technology. I feel my kind of people. I don't know.
2023,
I'm way too
it's
plugged in.
yeah,
And it's funny, people have actually asked me like if I schedule my post or like stuff like that, like is that a bot or is that you? And I'm like, no, that's actually me. It's
that's
not a
really you
bot.
putting in that work. I mean, you definitely have the discipline to be consistent because you're
Thanks.
like you said, you're always posting, and you do motivate people. Of course, you have a pretty big following. Is Instagram your only platform?
I have like a tiny account on TikTok that I don't really post too much, but it's alive. My YouTube has gotten my YouTube like kind of blew up for no reason this past this past summer. But yeah, a little bit of YouTube. Definitely want to do more educational content on YouTube. That's what I used to do a lot of back in the day, but I think YouTube just wants reels. I don't know. Everybody just wants
Yeah,
short form content.
there's a lot of shorts. Well, I feel like the more advanced the technology, the shorter the attention span. You know,
Literally.
I don't know if you noticed that the reels, quick reels on Instagram, TikTok, and now you got reels on YouTube, which is kind of whack, or shorts, whatever they call it. Um, let's talk about your training. Like, how do you balance your movement and your strength? Do you implement the two
Ooh.
together, or do you
No,
separate
I
them?
definitely like to implement them. But I feel like for me, it's been easier to like focus on like making sure I have enough time for recovery when I
Mm,
separate them a little bit more. So I
okay.
usually do 2 strict days of mobility and then 2 strict days of strength. And then that last fifth day, like sometimes it might be a combination day, sometimes it's like strict cardio. That last day is kind of just open for whatever. But recently I have been doing 3 strength days a week. So that's been my like maybe for the past just like 3 weeks, I think, a couple weeks.
Is that something you want to focus more on, I guess, in the meantime, since you said you kind of like were stagnant for a while?
Oh
So
my
maybe adding that
gosh.
strength day maybe helps.
Yeah, so I went on vacation and I didn't do any strength for like 2 weeks. So I'm trying to come back real hard.
Okay, you said you were on vacation. Was that like one of your retreats or was that just
Uh-huh.
for fun? Now, do
Yeah,
you
went
put,
on
go ahead.
no, yeah, went on a retreat to Thailand.
How was it?
Oh my gosh, it
Beautiful,
was
right?
beautiful. I wish I could still be there.
Do you put these retreats together yourself or is that like a group thing?
I have an event planner, so she
Oh,
does
nice.
pretty much everything. I just tell her, I just give her my outline, my vision, and pretty much just approve or, you know, say I don't like certain things.
And it's basically a movement retreat, and that's what the
Yeah,
focus is.
so every day we'll do one movement session, but there's also a big component of adventure. So every day we'll do something a little bit different. Like on this one to Thailand, one day we went to the elephant sanctuary. We did 2 boat days, which was super crazy. And then what else did we do? Oh, we did a cooking class. We did Muay
Nice.
Thai. It was super
Oh,
fun.
I do Muay
Mhm.
Thai.
Oh, what's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Nice.
Capu cap. I think some.
Yeah, kapuka.
Yeah. I think
Kapuka.
the man says the woman says something different. They say kapu something, and the guy says something different at the end of that.
I think somebody was telling me it's like the pronunciation of the ka, but I don't know.
Yeah, like krupp and
I was
cops.
struggling.
Oh, were you?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like it though?
Yeah.
The Muay Thai. Did you enjoy it?
Oh my God, we went back for more. We did 2 sessions over there. It was so good. They made me do extra kicks because they could tell I'd done it before. So they're like,
Really?
uh-oh, we gotta make her die. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Let's kick her ass.
no.
What is what is your nutrition like? How do you, I know I saw a post where you enjoy yourself, you eat pretty much whatever you want. Food is fuel. But how do you stay on point though? Because you are a trainer and you are, I guess, an influencer. I don't like that word, but you have
I
a
hate
good
that word.
following. You're
Content creator.
you're a content creator. Okay. So how do you stay on point? Like what do you do to stay on point? Like what does your nutrition look like aside from the fun foods that you post?
Ooh, so pretty much aside from the fun stuff that I eat, it's so boring. Pretty much Monday through Friday, I'm literally eating 3 boiled eggs for breakfast every single day. And
Every
I'm not
day.
mad about it. Like it's my
Yeah.
protein. I gotta
Mhm.
get it in. And for me, that's like the purest form of protein. Like an egg, like so
Yeah,
beautiful.
it is.
It's so like what is it called? Primordial. So primordial. And then for lunch, I almost always have leftovers. So whatever I had for dinner like a couple of nights ago, I'll have that as my leftover. But pretty much at home, I just try to be like very like portion conscientious because I feel like
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing that gets people that do eat healthy and eat at home. It's the portion sizes. So I am pretty conscientious about like my home cooked meals, but I eat a lot of animal protein. I love steak. I love lamb. I'm not a huge chicken person, but we eat a lot of animal protein, a lot of veggies. We eat a lot of jasmine rice up in here.
Mm.
A lot of jasmine rice. I limit myself to only 1 coffee a day.
Okay.
And then I think the biggest thing nutrition wise that I've seen over the years is being conscientious of like what inflames my body and what irritates my body. And everyone's super individual. So I feel like that's the biggest thing to take into account. Like just remember like if if grapes inflame you, grapes inflame you. You
Yeah,
know,
for
like
sure.
it doesn't have to be anything like sometimes it's not a common thing. But for me, it's definitely dairy. Dairy is super inflammatory for me, and I
Mm.
try not to eat wheat like all the time.
Okay.
But I do eat wheat, but just not in my house like every day.
So like you'll go out to eat and you'll maybe like have something wheat based, like out at a
I have a
restaurant or something.
croissant, yeah, or
Ooh.
some French toast, but I won't be making that at home.
So you're not a big bread eater. Is that
No.
because yeah, okay. Is that's because you get inflamed?
I feel like I get super inflamed when I eat too much bread, sugar, dairy for me. And I know those are typical. So I said the complete opposite of what I started with because I am a very typical like, uh, food sensitivity person. But for example, like my mom can't eat carrots.
She
So it's
can't
super
eat
weird.
carrots.
She can't eat carrots.
Wow.
She's so weird. She's like
Yeah, that
she I think she has other issues, like some underlying gut issue or something, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, my diet's pretty simple, I think. During the week, super simple. I try to focus on staple foods for the most part.
high quality.
Definitely high
Mhm,
quality, a thousand
mhm.
percent, 1,000% on that, asterisk on that.
What what about as far as like just being disciplined on a day-to-day basis, like your mindset, your mental health? Is there ever a day where you're just struggling mentally, where you just don't want to do anything at all, but the discipline has to play a role because you have to get up and do something,
I
whether
feel like
it's
that's
a
me every day.
client? Yeah. Is it?
No, I'm kidding. Sometimes I wake up like today, I woke up like so excited, and like so ready for life and so ready to do stuff. But no, I definitely feel that. And I feel like sometimes I have not even a day, it'll be like a week where I feel like that. And it's like really like pulling through.
Yeah.
But I think focusing on my routine and like I really try to focus on having gratitude for things and being present.
Yeah.
And even on days where I don't feel great, like I try to have create moments where like I stop and like I soak things in and I'm like, if things really aren't that bad, like you're literally just tripping or you're just not in a good mood, or maybe I always remind myself too, like maybe you just don't feel well. I feel like a lot of times we get so like heady about things. We're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like something deep must be going on. Like, I don't feel like doing anything today. Sometimes it's just like you might be fighting a bug. Maybe your immune system's just like trying to work, or maybe you didn't sleep well last night. So I just try to give myself some grace, but like still push through and
You
get things
still push,
done.
but at the end of the day, after pushing through, like you just don't feel like super burnt, like just tired of fucking. Or do you
I
feel
feel like
better because you did push through?
I feel like it keeps me like more even keel.
Okay.
Like I might not feel like, whoa, like life's amazing. But I'm always like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. Like you got that done. Like I feel like it gives me energy to do like the next thing that I'm trying to do.
Do you have any fears? It could be.
Ooh.
I don't mean heights. I mean like life fears. Like, do you
Oh
have
my
like?
God. I'm scared of roaches. I'm scared of cockroaches. I used to be scared of spiders, but I'm not anymore. I'm the stupidest fears. I'm one of those people, like I'll stand on the edge of a building and I'll look at my partner and I'm like, does this scare you? And he's like,
Oh, so you're not as scared of heights.
I'm not scared of um no, I'm not scared of heights. I'm trying to think of other things that people are scared of. I'm not scared of like deep water.
Hmm.
It does sketch me out. Don't get me wrong. Like when I'm swimming in the ocean and I'm thinking about what's underneath me, I do get sketched out, but I'm not necessarily scared or frightened. I'll still do it. Um, but yeah, definitely scared of creepy crawlies.
What about life fears? Like things about the future. Like, what do you have?
Nah, I'm like such a chill
It
person when
is
it
what
comes
it
to that.
is.
Like it is what it is.
That's actually good because a lot of people they have fears of failure and different things like that. And I mean,
Going back to our conversation about spirituality that we've dabbled in, I feel like my quarter life crisis was realizing that fear was the biggest thing holding me back from
mhm,
everything. And then I had to have like a big moment where I realized that I was living in fear and I actually went through some like really like weird dark stuff, but like this nothing serious, but like I had a moment where like I saw some people in my life like associating themselves with people that would literally be in prison for doing weird stuff. But
wow,
I was like, wow, not illegal stuff, weird stuff. I said what I said.
underline the word
Weird
weird. Yeah,
Weird, yeah. So doing some weird stuff. And I was like, wow, like from a value perspective, I was like, would I ever associate myself with people that I feel like aren't morally right like that to me? Like selling drugs and doing criminal stuff is totally different. But like I would never want to hurt somebody or hurt a child or hurt
yeah,
an old person,
hmm,
maliciously. So I was like, I had a moment in my life where I was like, man, like why do people associate themselves with these people? and I had like a whole like I was like hit, and I was like fear. I was like, people are scared of losing what they have. People are scared of losing people that they're connected to. People are scared of change. People are scared of
Mhm.
what people are gonna do to them. I'm like, if I want to live in my true authenticity and I want to be the person that I want to be, and I want to potentially thrive in what I love, if I want to thrive in anything, you can't be scared. Like I'm not scared of anybody, and I'm not scared of anything. So I think that's really like one of the things that like I forget, but when you ask me what I'm scared of, I'm like, nothing. Come for
I
me.
mean, fear is a state of mind, right?
Yeah.
And fear holds so many of us back. But like you
Hmm.
said, you came to a realization, and unfortunately, a lot of people do not come to that realization, and they stay stuck. Like you felt yourself getting comfortable at your job. How many people stay at a job because it's comfortable, and they're there for 30 plus years, and by the time they're 65, they're miserable. Chances are they're sick, they're not healthy, and they just resent life because of fear. And that's why I asked you that question, because you overcame fear and you quit your job and you chase, or you didn't chase it. I'm pretty sure it seeked you versus you seeking it, because that's how life is. Things find you. You don't really find it. You just have to open yourself up to the world,
I
you
love that.
know?
Well said.
Yeah. So today, as far as today goes, what's your biggest accomplishment thus far?
Being perpetually present. I feel like that is one of my like skills that I really like honed into, that I really honor, and I like hold it really
Yeah.
dear to my chest. Like
Beautiful.
perpetually present.
Being a movement coach, you put the fun in functional, right? That's your thing. You should put that on a shirt too. Make movement fun again. I don't know if you want
I
to sell
love
merch. I don't know if you want to sell merch, but do that.
it.
What advice do you have for someone who is stiff, or someone who just wants to kind of like be a little more into how they move with intention and how deep they move? Like, what type of advice do you have for them, for those people?
Mm. Start small. Like you can literally start. Everybody knows cat cows nowadays. I feel like cat cow like really permeated the ether, and it's like a home place name, whatever you call those things now. Um, but yeah, even if it's just with some cat cows, get on a yoga mat, get on a carpet, even on your bed, start extending, flexing your spine, see how it feels, tune into where do you have stiffness, where is it a little bit loose, and then if you feel even better, maybe tune your breath into that.
Yeah,
And you can use that approach to any movement that you know. A lot of us are way more familiar with movement than we think. Like you say pigeon or sit cross-legged, all of these things. Like it doesn't have to be sophisticated, but start with a movement, get into it, breathe, literally ask your body, how do I feel? Maybe shift around your weight a little bit. And then if you want more, go check out. I have free programs and YouTube and TikTok, Instagram. Like I'm literally a click away if you want to really dive deep.
and where can they find you for that information?
At Francheska Fit,
Everything at Francesca Fit,
everything,
even the small,
everything,
even the small TikTok following.
everything,
All
even on
right,
Lemon. And I don't post on there. Lemon
I
8, or
I've never
it's the
heard of
new
that.
TikTok. It hasn't done well.
Is it? It's You said it's new though. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I won't check it out. I'm lying.
It's like if TikTok and Pinterest had a baby.
Another thing I like to add to that advice that you just gave, uh, be intentional about it, right? Connect to the spirit. Like you said, connect to your breath. With every movement, your breath should be involved, right? Your spirit should be involved.
Yes.
There should be intent behind it. That's another thing that kind of like really like put me got me closer to movement. Like you're definitely one of my favorite content creators, or my movement coaches. you
Oh,
know
thank you.
you move with so much control, grace, and beauty. uh Thank you for taking the time out of your day to have this conversation. I enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing more content. I look forward to your growth. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we go?
Thank you so much, Anthony. Um, yeah, if I can leave anybody with anything, it's just to remember to just stop throughout the day. Stop throughout the day, literally look around,
Hmm.
look at something that you find beautiful, and just remind yourself that like you're alive, do the best that you can to like keep your body healthy as you get older. But stop and just enjoy the present. The other thoughts will come later.
Especially like you said, especially like in a hustle and bustle society, right? Hustle culture. You know,
Yeah.
everybody wants that thing and they want it right now. So they'll risk their health, their sleep, their body just to get to it. So, like you said, slow down and be present
Mhm.
and be grateful, right? Um, for those of you who are listening to this, give her a follow. You will not regret it. Francheska Fit at Francheska Fit. She puts the fun in functional. I love that, by the way. Give her a follow. Thank you for listening and peace, everybody.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Peace.